Bitcoin is the ultimate hedge against financial collapse. $277 trillion. That's the global debt level at the end of 2020. Global debt levels are now at 365% of world GDP, and it's only expected to go up. The COVID pandemic has only fueled this attitude of trying to solve problems by throwing money at them. Governments all over the world have resorted to spending at an unsustainable rate to fuel flagging growth. This dynamic is the worst in the United States of America. Data from the Federal Reserve shows that M2, the stock of dollars, has risen from 15.34 trillion to 18.72 trillion in 2020. This equates to an 18% increase in the total supply of dollars, which means that only 1 in 5 dollars was created in 2020. The only point of consensus across the political spectrum is to spend increasingly large sums of money. Unfortunately, the solution to our current crisis is planting the seeds for a greater calamity in the future. Absurdly high debt levels are the new normal. It's only a matter of time before the whole stack of cards collapses. Bitcoin is the portal to the future. Bitcoin is a 21st century currency that has all the advantages of the internet behind it. It is a fundamental evolution of money and a successor to fiat currencies. Like fiat currency, Bitcoin does not have an intrinsic value. It only has value because all parties participating in the exchange agree to its value. But Bitcoin has some key innovations that make it superior to fiat currency. Number 1. Bitcoin is the best hedge in an inflation economy. Number 2. Its decentralized nature gives it more stability than fiat currencies, which are centrally controlled and vulnerable to irresponsible monetary experiments. Bitcoin is the best hedge in an inflationary economy. Unlike fiat currencies, the number of Bitcoins in circulation cannot be unlimited. There is a finite cap. This makes Bitcoin immune to inflation and very stable over the long term. That's why Bitcoin is frequently compared to gold. But Bitcoin has a few tricks up its sleeve that makes it superior to gold. Bitcoin has many advantages when compared to gold. The storage and transport cost of Bitcoin is virtually non-existent. Bitcoin is more secure than gold since it cannot be stolen as long as you keep your private key secret. Bitcoin also makes full use of the internet to make transactions seamless. Bitcoin is thus inflation resistant like gold without any of the downsides. Since Bitcoin has no centralized authority and all payments are logged to the public blockchain, you will never be subject to arbitrary rule changes, account freezes, or capital controls. This separation from existing financial institutions is especially useful if there's a collapse in the traditional world financial system. The value of Bitcoin. With all the recent price swings in Bitcoin, you might be wondering about the actual value of Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin just a speculative investment, or does it actually have long-term utility? One might argue that the value of Bitcoin is based more on speculation than actual payment volume. But it is also true that the speculation allows the price of Bitcoin to increase to a high enough extent to practically allow for payments. Bitcoin currency had to be worth something before it could bear any amount of real-world payment volume. This is the classic chicken and egg problem with new technology. New technology is not worth much until it's worth a lot. And so, the fact that Bitcoin has risen in value in part because of speculation is making the reality of its usefulness arrive much faster than it would have otherwise. Critics of Bitcoin point to limited usage by ordinary consumers and merchants. But that same criticism was leveled against PCs and the internet at the same stage. Every day, more and more consumers and merchants are buying, using, and selling Bitcoin all around the world. The overall numbers are still relatively small, but they are growing quickly. And ease of use for all participants is rapidly increasing as Bitcoin tools and technologies are improved. Remember, it used to be technically challenging to even get on the internet. Now it's not. Bitcoin is a classic network effect, a positive feedback loop. The more people use Bitcoin, the more valuable Bitcoin is for everyone who uses it, and the higher the incentive for the next user to start using the technology. Bitcoin is not about speculating your way to riches, but an insurance policy against irresponsible and reckless fiscal and monetary experiments. If you want to protect yourself from the next world crisis, Bitcoin is your best bet.